Hello traders, this is Rich from tradesight. This is a look at the market leading stocks via our proprietary scans for the coming session. This is going to be for Tuesday, December 10th, 2013. Got a fairly paired off reading here from the NASDAQ patch. Do have a couple of deviations here that are worth noting. Got a open close deviation in Wynn Resort. Gonna have a pretty strong close. Not a lot of distance above the VWAP, but we still have some time before the close. Have kind of the opposite condition in First Solar. We're down more than 3%. We're 1.5% below the VWAP, and we're getting a downside CPS signal on fairly decent volume. Today was a volume warning day where volume was mostly down across the board. Got a volume bump here in Baidu with a downside RPS, fairly strong. It's 1.5% above the day's open, but it's pulled off the high significantly, so we could see some more downside activity in the next session. Moving on to the financials. The financials are a little bit to the sell side, but there's only really three signals, so I wouldn't get too caught up in only looking at the short side for the financial sector. For the most part, volume's down, not a lot of movement. CME is fairly strong, more than 1% above the day's open. A little movement in Morgan Stanley. That one's about 1% below the day's open, but on balance, nothing really jumping out there. Energy patch is pretty well paired off. Good movement in ACI, almost 6% above the day's open on increased volume. Also in the coal patch, BTU, pretty strong day, 2.5% or a little bit more than that above the day's open. Unfortunately, no signals with either one of those names. Valero is starting to retreat a little bit. That was fairly weak on some pretty good volume. That's VLO. Looking at the generals, not a lot of signals. There's three buys. I don't know if that's really enough to really call it a bias, but there's nothing on the sell side, at least as of now. Got an upside CPS condition in Dow Chemical. Pretty strong day, 3.5% above the day's open. Pretty good move on a relatively low beta name. 150% of the typical volume, so that's definitely worth noting. Got a volume, upside CPS also in Deere and in Verizon. Moving on to the housing patch. Housing patch, no real bias. Couple to buy, couple to sell. Now Hovnanian, pretty good day here. 2.5% above the day's open with an upside CPS, but fairly light volume. NVR, real high price stock that doesn't trade a lot of shares, is actually trading more than its typical volume. Might be worth taking a peek at that tomorrow. Norfolk Southern NSC, pretty decent volume on an up day, and CSX has also got a pretty decent day going with an upside CPS condition. And finally, the commodities. Not too much here as far as signals. Double A's got an upside CPS, and Silver Wheaton does too. Silver Wheaton's actually fairly strong. Right now, gold is up about 1%, and silver's up 2%. So we're getting some movement out of the precious metals. So keep an eye on these, see if they can follow through tomorrow. Mosaic MOS starting to break down. Looks like this one could have some more downside, maybe if not tomorrow, perhaps Wednesday. So keep an eye on MOS. No signals as of now, but could be interesting. That one's about 3% below the day's open. All right, folks. As always, thanks for listening. This has been Rich for tradesight.